Hey there, it's Jen, and I am back with a process video using the Ali Edwards August 2019 digital Stories by the Month kit. So this is a kit that you can get digitally. I am printing this stuff out to use. This would be the chipboard set, and I just printed it on a 4x6. P.S. I am loving my Epson PM400, which is what I've been printing on. It works great, and you can use regular paper in it too, which is freaking awesome. So I have these little pictures printed. I have a 6x8, I have a 4x6, and then I have a bunch of 2x2s. And this is going to be a longer story because this is about a little trip that my daughter took with my in-laws. They have a timeshare at Snowbird Ski Resort in the summer, and we weren't able to go up with her this year, but she went with the grandparents and her cousins and stuff, so I wanted to just document that. There were lots of fun photos, and she had a lot of fun going, so I am going to do kind of an extended little story here. So I have a 6x8 photo that this is going to be my intro page, and this will be on a 6x8, and then next I will have these 2x2 photos, and I think what I'm going to do, I have 11 photos, and this grid fits 12 photos just on one side. So I think what I'm going to do is cut off one little strip. I don't know if you can tell, this is the one that has all the 2x2 squares. So I'm going to cut off one strip, and that leaves me with 16 squares, and so I can use the photos and then also add in some of these. These are journaling cards that I cropped down, and then I might add in some of these as well. And then following that page, so that will be front and back, and then following that page I will have a page that has two 4x6 photos. So here's my page protector for that, or two 4x6 slots, sorry. And my photo for this one, this will be a front and back as well. My photo for this one will be like this, and then I have a transparency. This is one that I printed that I messed up, so I'm waiting for the other one to dry, but you can see what this looks like. So this is a 3x4 card that had white below it, and so I just cropped it to 4x6, so it's a little bit enlarged, but I cut off the white. So this will be a transparency that you'll see through to the other side with. Here's my, I printed the other one on my other printer, and the color's better anyway, so I'll be putting that right here once it's dry. See, and it matches that photo just perfectly, so I'm happy with that. And then on the back of that, I am going to be writing some details of the trip. So that's kind of where I'm starting. I'll put you on fast forward and talk you through kind of my thinking process.
Alright, so I'm starting out with these alphas, and they are from a past Week in the Life kit. They're black, but I kind of wanted them white, so I'm kind of testing it here on the queue to see how I like it if I emboss it. So I just kind of dabbed the letter into some Versamark ink, and then I'm using my heat gun to heat that up and see what it looks like. And I'm happy with the way that it looks, so I decided to go ahead with it. So what I'm basically doing is pushing each letter into the Versamark ink, and then dabbing it into the embossing powder, heating it up, and then I will put another layer on it because I want it to have a little bit more to it. So I'm going to talk about that here.
So I wanted to quickly show you these letters because, sorry if you can hear my Dr. Pepper fizz, because they took a minute longer than normal because they were black in the first place. I wanted to do multiple layers, and then I really liked the way that it looked with the multiple layers, and it gave it kind of this epoxy feel, and so they look super, super cool. In fact, here is an example of one layer versus several. Well, it's two, but then I missed a few spots, so I went in with a little bit more. So anyway, I thought those turned out really cool. So I'm excited about those, but it was a little bit of a labor of love. So if you have the color chipboard that you like, that works well. Anyway, I'm going to put you back on fast forward and talk you through the rest.
All right, so now I'm going to arrange the letters onto this 6x8 photo. And my title is Snowbird because that's where they spent the week. And what I'm going to do is punch out one of the circles from the printable that is the chipboard set. And I like the way that looks as I replace the O with it. And so it just says August Stories. And so I thought that was perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and use that. And then I decided to, I wanted to put the dates that they were there down at the bottom. And so I just grabbed some labels that I had left over from a previous story kit and placed that there. And now I will stamp my date on there. And I'm trying to figure out what I want to use for that. So I go to my stamps and I found a stamp set that I'll use, and I decide to go ahead and actually put my title on first. So I want the O to overlap the N and the W because it's a little bit, that circle's a little bit larger than the O would have been. And so I want to keep the spacing the same as if the O had been there. And I'm using my T-square ruler to just make sure I get this on here straight, and that works out really nicely. And before I put down that circle, I'm popping the circle up, and so it's a little bit taller than the letters so that it can rest on top of it. And so I'm putting on my my second row of letters before I put on that circle, because it's going to rest over the R just a tiny bit as well. So go ahead and do that. I'm really happy with the way that turned out, and I'm going to use my Ellie Studio mini dated stamp to stamp the date here because I want it to be larger than just a regular roller date stamp. And so I'm just kind of lining it up here. I'm using my black Stays On ink because I'm stamping on a slick sticker, and I'm trying to, the space is a little bit larger than what I would have liked. So there's going to be a lot of space between the dates. I should have moved like the August and the 2019 in a little bit, but I didn't think about it until I had already started stamping. So, you just go with the flow. So I'm going to stamp August 3rd, and then I'm going to stamp the last part so that I can have an equal amount of distance on the sides before. So that makes it so that I can figure out how large the space in the middle is going to be. And so you can see it's quite large there. And I thought about putting some sort of icon or little, like, I don't know, something in there. But in the end, I just go with a line, and you'll see that a little bit later. I thought about adding in, so here's where I'm trying out some different stickers. I thought about adding in some other things on this page too, but I want to keep it really simple. So I just used the 1 to do the dash because it was long enough, and I think that works out just fine. So I'm going to trim down this 2x2 pocket here so that it just has 2 rows instead of 3. And I like doing that for inserts a lot, is trimming down another page protector, whether it's I like using the one that has 4 3x4s and trimming it so it only has 2 3x4s. And then this 2x2 option is great too. So now I'm just cutting apart my photos. I printed these all on one 4x6 on my Epson PM400, and now I'm going to arrange these. So the photos that I have, again, I was not here for this. My daughter went up with my in-laws, but they sent tons of photos and they were all super cute, and Malia had so much fun that I decided I wanted to, even though I wasn't there, go ahead and document this. But there were a lot of hiking photos, so that's what I'm placing in here first. So there are 7 hiking photos, and then there are just 4 photos of them. There's like this all-day pass that you can get where you can do a bunch of different activities. There's a climbing wall, there's like a zip line, there's what they call the alpine slide, which is this big slide that you ride down. There's like it's not a roller coaster, but something similar. Anyway, so I have only 4 photos from that. So I just placed them so that there was one, like they alternated where they were, and I'll fill in the other spaces with some journaling. So I'm putting in my 2x2s here. And then I kind of thought like this, adding to the back of that photo with the girls flipping their hair in the swimming pool, it felt like an afterthought, like you're going to flip the page and all that there is some journaling about the previous 3 pages. So I decided to not have that have anything on the back. And so I punched out that 4x6 card. I punched some 2x2 squares from it. So you still get the details lines, and I'm going to journal on those and put them in the 2x2 squares and talk about the activities that they did. I punched out with using my 1-inch circle punch that little yellow circle, and I wanted to put that on top of the transparency because it matches the yellow swimsuit in the photo. I think it's not my daughter wearing the yellow swimsuit, it's my niece, but it's just very vibrant and it pops. So I had to trim these just slightly. I used a 2x2 punch, but it was just slightly too large, and so I'm just trimming those a little bit so that they fit in those squares. And then I wanted another pop of that bright yellow, and since I used this tab on the first on the intro page, I thought I would use it on this page as well. And it was a little bit too long for that 2x2 square, so what I did was I cut the sticker and then I overlapped it so it kind of looks like it's one smaller sticker. When you see the close-up photos, you'll notice that you can see where the photo or where the sticker overlaps, but I'm cool with it. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm cutting a few other pieces out of that printable and trying to decide if I want to put those somewhere on the photos. And I went ahead and did my journaling. I skipped through that for you. And now what I'm going to do, I knew I wanted to include some more of that floral since there was this little triangle of that floral that's on the transparency that I printed on transparency. And what I decided to do was just cut out one of the flowers and add it to that little August square. And I think that worked out really well to just kind of tie in that pattern. I added some staples to that label on the first page, and I will add staples throughout just for some continuity. I thought it would be nice to add in some little word strips as well, so I found these white ones in my stash that have summer phrases on them. I don't remember where these are from. They're definitely a past story kit or stories by the month kit. I subscribe to both, and so they're from one of those, but you could use any stickers that you have if you're trying to create a similar look. I kind of wanted to cover up that no diving little thing next to the pool, and I decided to use some more of the white phrase stickers. They just worked out well because they were all summary phrases, and I'll add a bunch of those here. I thought about adding in, there's a little mountain icon in a couple of the travel kit stickers that I have, and I tried to add them in, but it just didn't end up working out anywhere, so I just don't add them. But what I do is I use this little triangle that's one of the digital chipboard pieces, and I punched some tiny little hearts from it. It was the perfect pink to match, obviously, and I'm going to put a couple here next to the pool photos, and then I'll put one over on the facing page just to bring them together and add some pink over there as well. So I'm happy with the way that looks, and I will staple some of those too. I think I do. Yes. I like to add staples throughout. If I add them in one place, I want to add them in multiple places. So at this point, I hadn't let my transparency dry enough, and the color transferred on my 4x6 pocket. And so I just got a new one. It's pretty much dry now, but I'm just using a piece of paper to double check that and to sop up any excess. And then I'm going to put it back in. I stapled the circle on as well. So here I'm just adding a couple final touches. I add that little pink heart there so that there's pink hearts on each one of the spreads, and that is going to complete this. So I'll show you in my album here now. So I thought I would show you quickly what this looks like in my album. Since it's an insert, it's just easier to see it once it's in the album. So this is my intro page. So I will have a spread of something else here, which is
a continuation of this spread, so that will be something. And then this photo, and then I have this insert. So I did cut down that page protector, which you saw, and I added a few little things. So I added this tab, and I just stamped these tiny little words from the physical August Stories by the Month kit that from this year. So this is last year's digital kit. I just stamped "Making Me Happy" on one side and "Today's Story" on the other. And then this is the other page. Now, this isn't necessarily what's going to go here. I just put a white piece of cardstock in this just so you could see what the transparency will look like. And I think that I'll try to plan to have some sort of photo with some good white space towards the top just to give it a cleaner look. But I'm really not too worried about it, but I don't want it to have something crazy behind it. So I'm really happy with the way that this turned out. It's a fun little, you know, story of this thing. I've been loving actually working in this 6x8 size lately. And so, yeah, I'm just liking adding to this book right now. I wanted to just quickly mention, if anybody's interested, I did find some 6x8 paper that's sold already cut 6x8, and it's from Park Lane at JOANN, so that's their kind of house brand. So if you're interested in that, you can get it. It's pretty thin. It's 65 pounds, so it's not super thick or anything, but sometimes I just need something to build on top of, and once you get it in your album, it doesn't really matter if it's a little bit thinner. It's as thick as the photo paper that I have backing some of these photos in here is, so I'm happy with that. Anyway, if you were interested. So if you have any questions, just leave me a comment in the video description, and I will have close-up photos coming up right now.